Is Islam a threat to America and to our core values? We're going to be talking about it on Faith and Freedom. I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Our special guest this entire week is Kamal Saleem. Kamal Saleem is an individual that I met not long ago, and he is someone that I think you're going to be fascinated to hear, and hopefully your eyes will be open to some of the issues that we're facing here in America and indeed around the world. Welcome to Faith and Freedom, Kamal.
It's good to be with you. It's an honor, and what a blessed day to speak about this.
Well, Kamal, I finished your book, The Blood of Lambs, and you have other resources as well. And one of the things I encourage our readers to get and read is your book called The Blood of Lambs. It is a fascinating insight into the world of terror and radical Islam. And it's also a fascinating insight into the power of Jesus Christ to change an individual such as you. You had an Apostle Paul road to Damascus kind of dramatic experience with the Lord Jesus Christ, and you were in one direction and a completely different direction now. We want to talk about how that ultimately happened later in this week. Every day this week we're going to be talking about your story. But tell us about your story. I want to kind of walk through this week the sequence of your life. You were in Lebanon, and at the age of 7, your father ultimately said that you needed to go out and get a job, and you then had to fend for yourself. Pick us up from the age of 7. How was it that at the age of 7 you were already introduced to or becoming a part of radical Islam?
You know, it's amazing. It's a fascinating story, you know, when you find out that the American people don't even have the understanding, you know, how a Mideastern house, evolves, or Islamist family evolved. You know, over there, it's nothing like United States of America. It's totally different. By the time I was 7 years old, I had 14 brothers and sisters, and we were living in a 3-room house, and we didn't have a whole lot. We were a very poor family. And, so in order to live in that house, you have to contribute and bring finances. Children in Mideast, unlike the children in America, they are the meal ticket for their family. They are the insurance, health insurance for their family. They are everything that their family need. So therefore, they bring you to life to support them. So by the age of 7, my dad said to me, you know, if you want to live in this house, you need to work. And I started my life journey. And as poor as we were, I don't have the means and ways to take the bus or anything, so everything was on foot. And we worked over there 6 days a week. You know, the only day off was, one day off, and we worked from sunrise to sunset. And so as a child, my mom would pack my lunch, and I'll have breakfast that morning, and I'm going toward work. And I have to find my way through a neighborhood to make the shortest way to go to work, or otherwise, it'll take me forever to get there. And the bosses in that side of the world, they beat you up. It's not, if you're late, if you're tardy, if you're any other thing, they would just deal with you harshly. Over there in that world, punishment is, they have full right to punish you any way they want, your family, your school, your bosses, whatever it may take. So this is how my life started over there, and I was going through neighborhoods, and there's one day in particular I was walking, and I walked into 3 different neighborhoods. The first one was an Armenian, and the Armenian were very anti-Sunni children, like me. And when I walk into the neighborhood, the gangs that they have in the area retaliated against me several times in the past, but that day was really a severe day. That I was beaten up by them, and I was, it was a miracle that I made my way out, although they stole part of my clothes and my shoes and what so have you. And then I made it through the Shia, the Kurdish neighborhood, and it was just as bad. And the last neighborhood was the Shia, and that's what really I was fighting for my life, because they were about to kill me that day, and I knew it was the end of my day if I don't fight for it.
So you're Sunni. So Kamal, you're Sunni, and we want to talk a little bit later in the program about the difference between Sunni and Shia. But as a Sunni, you're walking through these neighborhoods, getting to this place where your dad had arranged you to work. You first get
Correct.
beat up by people in the Armenian area. Then you get beat up by people in the Kurdish area. Then
Correct.
you ultimately get to the Shia neighborhood, and you get beat up there as well. And you get pummeled, and your face and your body is just bleeding profusely. And this is just on the way to work.
That's on the way to work, and we're talking here 7 years old. I'm not talking here that I'm, an adult child. It's something that the human brain cannot understand. At 7 years old, have to face this, and in process, what I did is I ran into a mosque, and the mosque, I felt it's a refuge, and that's where I grew up. In different mosques.
And your family raised you in the Islamic religion, so this was not something brand new that you had just entered the mosque for the very first time.
Yes, my mother is an Ottoman Turk. Her father came from the Ottoman Empire. In 1924, when the Ottoman Empire fell, Atabasha dismantled, the Islamist government, which is the sword government, which is they were invading the world for the glory of Islam. And my grandfather was one of those who left there because left from Turkey, and took refuge in Lebanon. And there he married my grandmother, who is actually a real Beiruti, and she's from Beirut. If I say the family name, everybody would know the family. And with this, what happened is when he had his 9 children, he instilled in them, the Islamist agenda, the Ottoman Empire agenda. And that's where the zealousy came from the Ottoman belief and understanding. My mother was.
So as a result of that, I mean, you have Islamic and the Quran instilled in you from a very young boy, and now you come to this mosque, and one of the people that you meet is Abdul Rahman, and ultimately these become your refuge. They then take you back to these places where you had been beat up. And it's a fascinating situation where they actually confront each one of these, whether they're the parents or whether they're the young boys themselves, and ultimately take you under their wings and say, if you touch Kamal, you touch us. And
That's right.
We know where you live, and we will come back and get you and do bad things to you.
That's exactly right. And these people were not afraid to fight or to kill. The group called the Muslim Brotherhood. Abdul Rahman, was one of the leaders. You see, the Muslim Brotherhood came in 1928 to reestablish the Ummah of Islam, which is one world order under Allah. And so, therefore, they came with the agenda to Islamicize the world, that the whole world will be a Muslim infrastructure, and everybody will be the follower of Allah. So with this, when I went to the mosque that day, the imams were sitting around and they were having a cell meeting. And in a cell meeting, it's about the neighborhood, how to infiltrate that neighborhood and how to do the other things. So I was, in a way for them to step into those neighborhoods correctly and rightly, and I was their reason to allow them to go into those places and make a presence.
And we're going to pick that up tomorrow, where what happened here and then how that ultimately transitioned you to actually go into your first training camp to learn terrorism. It's an amazing story, but it's also a very enlightening story. We're going to hear from Kamal Saleem this entire week on faith and freedom and about what's happening here in America. You hear about the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. Are they here in America? What's taking place in America? And why did Kamal eventually come to America? We're going to be talking about that in Faith and Freedom. You want to order the book called The Blood of Lambs by Kamal Saleem. You can get that at Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. That's lc.org, called The Blood of the Lambs. Or you can also go to koomministries.com, Koome ministries.com.